is the oldest film on record of the Denton area, and hopefully it will help to preserve some of the history of the 1940 and 41 years. Please bear with me as I attempt to identify various individuals and locations, hopefully with a reasonable degree of accuracy. The Denton High School, the grade school, the first grade building, the Lomax and Ag building, which is now the library, Keith Cranford and Grifton Morris, Nolan and Lear, Alton Sexton and Mr. Cook, Real Smith, Junior Morris, Harold Snyder, Jim Steed, Mr. Carrick, Calvin and Fred Bean, Vance or Lance Harrison, J.R. Slack, Paul Feaser, Wayne Snyder, Jacob Bean, Jim Cashat, Louise Smith Surratt and Albert McCaskill. Our school principal, French Smith, two teachers, Miss Fraser, Grace Crater. Louise Surratt, Sarah Boyd, Bill Campbell, children on the playground, of course, is an attempt to get every possible individual on film so that they can return and see themselves at the amphitheater in the movies. The teacher coming up on your left is Jim Cashat. And the teacher approaching from the right is Louise Surratt. This teacher is Ruth Hill. Another view of Louise Surratt in her fourth grade. And off to the right, the teacher you see coming is Fanny B. Shields. And Miss Boyd. And we get into the high school classes here. Miss Eva Farr, 7th grade teacher. Margaret Smith, the 8th grade teacher. Bill Campbell on the left. And finally, the senior class of 1940 brings up the rear with Sarah King as teacher. And Evelyn Swearinger to the right. And in the very rear is the agriculture teacher, E.M. Hunt. This, of course, is a May Day program incorporated with a Valentine's Day program out on the school ground. And here you see Bill Johnson and the dog Duke, along with his cousin, Neil Sexton. And the teacher, Mary Lane. C.G. McDowell and Wayne Anderson. And to identify some few of these workers up at the Billwell Chair and Furniture Factory. Walter Cranford, Oda Beck, Freeman Smith, Charlie Elliott, Millard Surratt, Talmadge Bell, Crowley Snyder. Corbett Newsom, Ernest Bean, Mood Morris, Arthur Lofton, Talmadge Bell, and the Owens family. Wilson Lanier, Ralph Bowie, Mood Gallimore, Wayne Nance, Freeman Smith, Tom Kearns, Paul Martin, Mood Gallimore, Dan Cranford, Sam Bowie, Wayne Kinley, Edgar Elliott, and Ernest Smith. And now we have Wayne Nance doing a handstand coming down from the water tank. The wells in the town went dry and we had to lay new pipelines. It went slow, slow. Finally, the mayor offered them a real bonus if they would speed the work up. Surely, increase your pay. And of course, this pleased Mayor Bisher highly. Unable to identify this little lassie. But here we have Clarence Van Hoy, Locke Grubb, Martha Snyder, and Postmaster Clement Powell. Tom Johnson, Kenneth Hill, Charlie Robbins, and B.B. Lomax. Jiggs Goodman, Troy Jean Nance, and a part of the construction crew. Shirley Steed, and a couple of the workmen having lunch. a left-handed painter, a right-handed painter. Shirley Steed and Clara Mae Varner. Clyde Yates, Frances Gallimore in the center, Lina Gallimore to the left, and Ms. Burr to the deep left. Ruth Steed in the center. Colin Cranford, Verona Elliott, and Polly Snyder. Lynn Covington, Frances Gallimore, Dalton Cook, and Miss Varner. And here we have Miss Morris, Miss Bowie, Newsom, and Ken Holt. Dorothy Morris, Virginia Cole, and Lucille Aycock. Cleo Snyder, Fleda Lax, Jacob Bean, W.J. Lofton on the bank, H.M. Stroop, and Robert Garner. Hubert Myers, and Mr. Walser, a teacher's aide. Ethel Campbell Clowning, and Miss Lofton. Opal Coggins, Pauline Thieser, and Edna Coggins. And some shy school teachers. Dalton Gallimore, Hayden Ward, and yours truly, John Lomax. Buck Gallimore, Winfred Goodwood, and Joe Wilkins. Cleo Snyder, Evelyn Goodwin, Miss Fanny B. Shields, a teacher, Mr. Arthur Snyder, the janitor, Walser, Ward, and Gallimore, Geraldine Snyder, Ralph Lanning, and Delamay Davis. And now we go downtown to the railroad and the depot, looking east on Salisbury Street for a safe driving demonstration. Forward or backwards. No bent fenders. And the principal, Smith's son and daughter. The 1940 championship basketball team, Hoyt Lofton, Roy Snyder, Bill Shaw, Mac Cranford, Bobby Wilkins, H.M. Screw, Craig Plummer, and Donald Garner, and John Lomax, coached by Bill Campbell. And here is a view of the Vader Club. And now a first aid demonstration, taking care of an injured head. We're trying out for cheerleaders here, not sure who will be selected at this point. And we move across town to Thornton Knitting Company, Mr. J.E. Wilkins, Bertie Holt, Ms. Gallimore, J.T. and Nina Davis, Leon Elliott, Ms. Gallimore, Bertie Holt and Ms. Covington, Nina Davis, Mr. Wilkins, Glenn Johnson, and J.T. Davis, and Hal Skeen. Fannie Mae Wilkins and Ms. Hill. Max Morris, Mr. Lark Newsom, Mr. Elliott, Prevost Hill, and Kenneth Daniel, and the supervisor of the pipeline crew. Eli Tysinger, Geneva Walker, and Police Chief Alson Hughes, Dr. Clyde, Roy Morris, and Rachel Carroll. Hug Morris, Rayford Carroll, Jack Lannon, Hoyt Lofton, Max Hill, Hiram Ward, and Ames Sexton made up our band. And there we have Bob Johnson, Mr. Carl Hoover, Prevost Hill, and Fred Cranford, Mr. Al Shaw, Josh Hughes, Mr. Greenberry Sexton, Dalton Gallimore, Ray Hill, Odell Gallimore, and Ben Carroll, Kleinard Sexton, Vernon Cranford, Pigram Sexton, Oscar Snyder, Ben McDowell, and Miss McDowell, and Mr. McDowell. And now we're going to the post office for our mail. Everyone in a hurry. Florence and Phyllis Cox, Phyllis again, and Bertie Holt, Glenn Johnson, and some more camera-shy people as they leave Vischer Hoser Mill. Gain Morris, and we're back up at the chair factory. Not only is this quitting time, but this is payday, judging by the pace they're leaving today's work. Smith, Fred Slack, Ames Sexton, Ernest Lanier, Newmy Lanier, the Owens family, Dow, and camera-shy people again. Ralph Rogers and Benny Huffman. Mr. Gallimore, Edgar Elliott, Joel Sexton, Oda Beck, Sam Bowie, and Louis Andrews, Freeman Smith, and now down to the Morris Hoser Mill. Claire May Varner, Bill Sturtevant, Mr. A.R. Morris, Edmund Sexton, and Joe Cook, Taylor's Cleaners. Lee Austin giving us a demonstration of the latest technique from the newest equipment known. And owner, Mr. Joe Taylor. Rex Furniture Store and Hoover Funeral Home were located side by side and owned by the same individual. And consequently, we view here some of the very latest styles in the furniture. a wood stove to your left, and an electric stove to your right. Take your choice. And then across town, Pickett and Morris, Mac Pickett and Wesley Morris Furniture. And some more of the latest styles. Gallimore and Wesley Morris. And now we move across to South Main Street, Grimes Motor Company, the Ford dealership, with the very latest models displayed, 1941 Ford, Standard and Deluxe. Take your choice. Popular color of black, 1936 Ford Coupe, and a 1941 Standard Ford, most economy model. And of course we have the Ford wrecker towing nothing more than a Chevrolet truck. Salesman Roy Morris and Edward Hill. Mr. Cleve Grimes. And we're about to have a cracker eating contest here, made up of Archie Smith, Lawrence Snyder, Buck Gallimore, Kenneth Wilkins, Keith Cranford, and Bobby Daniels. And of course, after we have eaten all of those crackers, we see who can whistle first. I'm not sure that I know the outcome, but they consumed an awful lot of crackers, as is obvious. And the Blake family. Unable to identify this one. Believe it or not, we do drive with regularity on the main street, sometimes. And then we get in a hurry. Yeah, a little dusty. Do just as well backwards as forward. And now we move up to the school again for the year 41. Eleanor Powell. Agriculture teacher E.M. Hunt. And here we have our cheerleaders selected, made up of Johnson Curry, John Sexton, Hilda Johnson, and Eleanor Powell. And our janitor, Arthur Snyder. Reese Smith giving us a demonstration in the ag department at the bandsaw. And our vocational department, agricultural group, and the home ec group. And our 1941 girls basketball team coached by Mary G. Smith. And the boys basketball team, and a closer view of the girls as they come by. And the boys team as they come by. And Duke, the dog mascot for the year. Down at the first grade, we have Miss Fraser, Gracie Crater, the other first grade teacher. And here again, a mass of student body in hopes that every face will be seen in the film at some time later, the Anchor Theater, an admission of 10 cents. The purpose in returning a second year was necessary to establish an 80-minute viewing time. And this, of course, incorporated 2 years as well as some adjoining communities of Silver Valley, Southmont, and Farmer, which does not appear on this tape, with exception of a 15-foot segment over in the Farmer School. And this appears to be the 5th grade class that's passing the camera now, and a group of the teachers. Uncertain what this is unless a contest to see who can jump the highest, reaching up in an attempt to touch the sky. And one Jean Gallimore. And a horse-drawn carriage. Bus drivers made up of Cameron Badgett, Donald Garner, Lamont Coggins, Robert Garner, Kenneth Snyder, Reese Smith, Max Keene, Jacob Bean, and Edgar Frank. And the senior class of 41 on their way for the end of the school day. Badgett, Lamont Coggins, and the cheerleaders. H.M. Stroop, Joe Morris, John Sexton, Betty Newsom, Albert McCaskill, Bill Campbell, Mr. Bean, Mr. Cook, and Mr. Smith. Bobby Dockham, and 1941 school principal Tom Kearns, and undoubtedly what many consider the very best part of the day, going home. With this great number of students, you had to look closely to make sure you identified the proper bus before you boarded, and sometimes this wasn't always the case. You end up getting on the wrong bus, and only to learn later the bus had to return you and the other bus had to come back for you. The very latest models in the school bus and Mr. Cross. Not sure about who the owner of the goat is. It's certainly not Mary with the lamb. And a ball game underway. Lucille Morris at bat. Virginia Cole, Mariella Besher, Mr. Locke Lofton, Herman Cranford, and Elwood Dockham, Gracie Crater, and Robert Floyd, Bob Grubb, And here we have a still scene on the steps of the school building that was built in 1922. Gracie Crater. And the mascot dog. John Sexton and Charlie Robbins. J.E. Wilkins in the 1926 Dodge Roadster had a silent starter on it, owned by Grimes Motor Company. And now we'll move across to South Main Street in Yadkin Valley Chevrolet. You see advertised there the latest scientific testing equipment. Mr. Carly Davis is about to give us a demonstration of what this state-of-the-art equipment has capabilities of. 1941 Chevrolet Deluxe Coupe. And of course, wouldn't you know, Chevrolet wrecker towing a Ford. And a nice selection of used cars. Denton Auto Supply, which of course was known as the Shell Place. Owned and operated by Ben Carroll. His son, Rayford. And it's quite obvious that they carried a good stock of Shell products. Mr. Ed Metters being given a sales pitch on a new tower. True test batteries. Fit any make or model. Just bring it in. Father and son operation. And this is what was known as the downtown main square. You couldn't miss it. Back across town again to the Thornton Knitting Company, Lawrence Carrick, Colin Wood on the right, and Lawrence Carrick on the left. And some more of the ladies' employees. Hoyt Lofton, Rebecca Carroll, Miss Smith, and Mr. Sexton, Mr. Covington, Wilma Shaw, Lucille Kearns, Ms. Gallimore, Ms. Andrews, and now for the little segment over at the former community to our east, the school principal, the janitor, Ms. Emma Bingham, Bob Hammond and his father, Matt Hammond. And now back to Denton, Bob Gallimore. Ed Daniels, Hansel Elliott about to make a delivery from the Morrison Lanier. And back to the community open Dodge. Jesse Hedrick, Harlan Peacock. And Miss Peacock, Keith Cranford and his new bike. Just as easy to ride backward as forward. Bill Johnson and Duke in his knee pants. Mr. Baxter Carter. And one final safe driving demonstration. You are certain to take note that we improve as time goes on. Dr. Clyde, grandson Leon Walker, Gain Morris again, Dr. J.W. Griffiths, and Ruth Morris. On September the 30th, 1990,